Good afternoon, and thank you for joining How to Speak Maintenance. Our discussions today are about technology and, in a larger discussion, how AI could have an impact on the multifamily maintenance industry. My name is Jason Fein, and I'm the National Maintenance Services Director at Camden Property Trust. And always with me is Becca Ramati, who's the Vice President of the Texas Apartment Association Education Foundation. Good morning, Becca.
Hi, Jason.
With us today, we have some very special guests. Our first guest is Adrian Danila with RPM Living and an avid podcaster. I have to admit, Adrian, I'm excited to meet you as I've seen some of your material and I've watched your podcast. So would you mind talking to the listeners about what you do at RPM and a little bit about your podcast?
Same here, Jason, Becca, thank you very much for inviting me. So I'm Adrian Danila. What I do for a living is I am a senior facilities director with RPM Living. For those of you watching us that don't know who RPM Living is, we're the fourth largest property management company in the United States. We manage around 180,000 units. My role is to oversee a portfolio of 30,000 units over Nevada, Arizona, and Texas. That's what I do for a living, right? Outside of work and a little bit of a background on me, I started back in 2003 in the industry as a groundskeeper when I was fresh to United States, coming to the country, trying to learn the language. Started with a part-time groundskeeper job and, just kind of work my way up like a lot of the stories you'll hear in the industry, to punch, to a technician, service manager, and then I had several director roles and one vice president of maintenance and facilities role throughout my career. It's a great industry to be in. I'm very excited to be a part of this great, huge family. And thank you for having me today.
Oh, you're welcome. That's a very impressive resume. So I'm glad you're on the call today. Today, we also have TJaye Cupit Sanders with Madera Residential. Good morning, TJaye.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on the call, TJaye. You've a lot of experience in this topic, and I'm excited for the listeners to hear a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I'm with Madera Residential. I'm the Director of Technology Utilization. I've been with Madera a little over 8 years, been in the industry about 15. And I started out as a property manager, portfolio manager, and now I'm Director of Technology Utilization for Madera. Love the industry and can't wait to have this discussion with you guys today.
That's awesome. Well, let's jump into it. There's a lot of talk about AI and technology and how it will change the way we do business. Becca shared a quote with me the other day that I thought was pretty interesting. It said, AI isn't going to take your job, but someone who is comfortable with AI could. It just made my juices flow and started thinking about it. And I'm interested to hear more about what you guys think. So, my first question to you both is, what sort of stories have you heard or experienced where companies are using AI to support maintenance team members? Either one of you guys can jump in. This is a conversation.
Okay. When we were recently in Atlanta for Apartmentalize, I spoke to several companies that are using AI as a training tool. So will help, if somebody's having issues with an air conditioner, they can kind of say, this is the issue that I'm having, and it'll kind of get them started in the right direction, or can maybe give them the correct information on how to fix it. So that was something that was really new and interesting for me to learn this year.
So I haven't heard directly about AI being involved with enhancing the maintenance technician experience, but what I'm aware of is that AI helps with identifying the issues. What do I mean by that? When a resident calls in, there's AI on the other end of the line that helps pinpoint the issue. How many times do we see a service request that says the faucet is leaking without actually telling you where is the faucet located? Is it a drip that's coming out of the spout? Is there a leak underneath that's coming into the cabinet? Is it about to flood the entire apartment? That definitely helps a technician determine the gravity or the urgency of the issue. So there's AI that's capable and actually is being implemented as we speak in helping sorting out those issues. That's what I'm aware of as far as AI helping the maintenance technicians. As far as trading, I'm not aware of any tools or apps being available out there. I'm aware of different technology, and maybe we could touch on that at a later time.
Yeah. I mean, I was interested in it as well, and I kind of threw some questions into, I think it was the Bing AI tool, and it pumped out some answers about, you know, how to repair a washing machine. So, and like you said, TJ, was it 100% accurate? I don't know. It all depends on the information going into it, right?
Yeah.
You know, garbage in, garbage out. So
very true.
Yeah. Well, how do you see AI having an influence on the day-to-day tasks our maintenance teams face? I mean, it might just not be troubleshooting; it might be something else. Have you heard of any way else it might help with maintenance?
I think mainly it's just gonna be enhancing the technician experience, right? It's gonna help them get to the answers quicker and help them make decisions quicker, right? It's not gonna be, or not today, right? Especially in the current environment, AI is not gonna be something that it's going to replace the technician. We all know that we're dealing with massive staff shortages, labor shortages at a national level, and our industry in particular deals with a high level of turnover and also a lot of labor shortage as well. Think about AI as a tool to help with alleviating some of that. So let's say that a task that a technician would spend 60 minutes on, they could, they should only spend maybe 40 or 30 minutes on. And that puts 30 minutes back in their day to do other tasks. That's the way I see AI like influencing and assisting technicians in their work and making it more efficient.
Adrian, I wonder a little bit about, in addition to those statistics about the labor shortage, we have older maintenance supervisors and those really experts in maintenance retiring. And we're not necessarily replacing them with the same level of experience, and how at the very least, AI or that expertise, or at least that troubleshooting, can help with a younger technician as well.
Yes, that's a great question, Becca. And I actually know of products that are available right now on the market as we speak. They're in a shape of an app on your phone. So you could literally carry the app around, and that app will help you troubleshoot. How does the app help you? That particular app has how-to videos of how to fix, how to troubleshoot. Some will say, well, we could get that on a YouTube. Yeah, but on a YouTube, for someone that's green, they don't know how to vet a video and say, this is the right way to fix it. Like, this guy knows what they're talking about. Because me, as a end user, I don't know if the guy knows what he's talking about or not. So it's not vetted. But, what this app does, it provides at your fingertips, solutions for you, possible solutions to help you troubleshoot. And I think the new generation that comes in, like you said, Becca, with not so much base knowledge or legacy knowledge, right? They're coming in green into the industry. This is going to be a very good tool for them. Why? Because they're technology driven. They love the technology, and the information that's out there is very valuable. And again, it's at their fingertips. It's not like we all learn, with a large LMS companies, they're offering training for maintenance that you got to sit at a desk behind a computer and complete a training class. They could either provide you that on your phone. So literally, if you take a 5-minute break or you want to get out of the sun and hydrate, you could actually go on your phone and complete a module of a training module on your phone. In other words, it enhances not just their experience gaining in troubleshooting, but in general knowledge as well. And everything is done on your phone. How amazing is that?
Yeah, back in the day, I remember you'd have to make time to sit down in the office and find an open computer to be able to perform your training on. And now, like you're saying, Adrian, it's at your fingertips. So I like what you said, Adrian, about time management. You were bringing up it'll speed up the process. And TJ, I think in our discussion you were talking about how it could help with possibly with turnover schedules, right?
Yeah. So, I think that it takes the guys or ladies, the service team members, a long time to walk, to take photos of the units and write down everything that's needed, and then go back to the office or go to their, and have to schedule one by one. And so much easier just to be in the apartment and do everything by one button, and it sends out everything. It just makes their lives easier, because I know they need extra time. There's never enough time in the day, right?
Never. So we talked about learning. I really want to talk about that. I mean, do you see any issues with learning curves, or any issues with rolling AI platforms out to maintenance teams, like speed bumps?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it's something new is scary for a lot of people. And so I think that if we take small steps and get our teams used to, one or two things at a time, then they feel more comfortable with the technology itself when you start adding more things. And I think just setting the expectation to say, it's okay, you're not going to learn this tomorrow. We're going to do this together, and just set the stage so that they don't feel overwhelmed or discouraged from using it.
Yeah, definitely. What are your thoughts, Adrian?
I think there's two pieces right here when it comes to learning. The first piece is, how do people learn? And let's talk about specifically how maintenance personnel learns. I think a lot of us, are very visual. We like to see someone doing it. And because, you can't really scale that model, like you can have 100 trainers on 100 properties at the same time, showing 100 team members how to do things. You're going to have to scale. And the way you scale is where the technology comes into place. So you make that scalable by actually doing, how-to videos and tips, and again, carrying those on an app on your phone. That's one way to do it. Another thing that I learned about how people learn is that each person is different. First of all, they have different goals. They want to learn, for example, hey, I want to get better at HVAC troubleshooting. Well, if your company curriculum tells you that, you had to take, 20 classes, which only 1 or 2 are relevant for you, is that the best to use of your time? So I'm saying that blanket training is not necessarily the best way to go about it. You should have a core number of classes that are like required, like fair housing and preventing sexual harassment, that everybody has to take. It's legal compliance. The second layer should be what the employee wants. What do they want? What they're passionate about? What they want to improve on? And then the third layer is going to be their supervisor. What is the supervisor's assessment about what this person needs to get better at it? And you combine those 3 layers, and that's going to be your ideal combination. Now, when it comes to how we deliver the training, again, it has to be personable, it has to be and it has to be mobile, and it has to be applicable. In other words, it has to be the type of training that you could be exposed to, and you could turn around and being able to apply it in a field. If it doesn't have a direct application in a field, it's not going to be the right training. Just a couple of words on technology, right? So this is the process. This is how I see trading in 2023. Technology should be something that the end user should be involved in. We could sit here, and of course, Jason and I had, maintenance background, so we know about maintenance. Like we've been out there in the field. We are the end user, but for the most part, companies hire salespeople and they hire code writers, and those 2 categories of people are building a product that's being handed to the end user and say, we think this is great for you. We know end user input. I think the tech companies should be really looking into partnering with end users, with people that do maintenance on a daily basis, and get their input and put it in their product in order to make it, in order for the end user to embrace it. You're not going to be successful if you only sell at the top of the each organization without the buy-in. And the way you get a buy-in is by getting the end user involved, and they will tell you what works and what doesn't work.
I agree. You can make the vice president feel happy on the golf course about your product, but like you just said, if the end user isn't embracing technology, then I mean, I can give them an AI platform and they're not going to use it. I mean, great story. I work for a company that has cell phones for all the maintenance employees. Each maintenance employee has one. And I've walked into properties before and there's been a stack of cell phones sitting in the corner. And it's sad, because they're not embracing technology and they're trying to just do it the old way, which is, how I did it with the carbon copies and, filing all the papers away in the drawers at the end of the day. So yeah, technology is coming.
TJaye, I wonder if you've had any success or lessons learned about trying to get maintenance teams to embrace technology and where you've seen success there.
Yeah, so we were beta testing a product and we just chose a couple of properties because we wanted those service technicians to give us the real feedback, like Adrian was saying, what works about this, what doesn't work. And by them doing that, I mean, first of all, they loved the product and they were all in. And so then they were able to then help the other teams when we started adding a couple of more properties to that. They were the subject matter experts. Mm-hmm. And to Adrian's point, I mean, having an end user be a part of the development is very important. I do work for Madera Residential, but we also have a technology company, Quex. And that's kind of part of what I do is help. Obviously, I'm not a code writer. I'm not any of that, brainiac stuff. But when things are being developed, we look at it and say, how is this really going to work on site? How are the teams going to be able to use this? Is this accurate or what needs to change? And that's from the office team to the service team members. So I'm glad that you said that because we really are developing products for people to use and to feel comfortable with. So
that's great. For those small property management companies that are listening, I mean, embrace it and and like we're talking about, try to figure out how to get your maintenance techs involved and get them to want this technology and to show them the benefits. I think that, if we're able to sit down with them and show them how an AI chat can be able to help you diagnose an issue, or it might actually lead you to a great video that, like Adrian was talking about, these tools could actually help speed up processes and like TJaye was saying, yep. Not enough time in the day. You need more.
And I can also add that just not AI, but IoT. We have smart locks and smart thermostats on a number of our buildings and our properties. And I can tell you that our service team members are thankful for those things when it's 110 degrees outside and they don't have to walk vacant to make sure the AC is set properly. Or when we had the hard freeze that the heaters were right at their fingertips, they could make sure everything was set properly. And so think about how much time that saved and how much energy that saved them. So I think they were very thankful for that at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have property-wide Wi-Fi? Is that how you're linking all of your thermostats and locks?
So our thermostats and locks are LoRaWAN technology.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different. So you don't have to have property-wide Wi-Fi.
That's great.
It doesn't fail. So
yeah.
I think that's the thing that holds us back. At Camden, we've been looking at trying to figure out how to connect more connectivity in our properties and how to get it out to our maintenance techs, because sometimes they'll be in the garage down on the bottom floor trying to get specs on a washing machine and the cell signal and Wi-Fi is horrible down there. And so they
Absolutely.
have to leave and go upstairs to try to get a signal to be able to get the specs and the wiring diagrams. And now all of a sudden they wasted, 15 minutes. Whereas, and I think that's what holds us back from, taking a technology to the next level.
Absolutely.
So, well, Adrian, TJaye, you got anything else to add to the conversation about technology or AI and how it'll help our maintenance teams?
I'd like to say that this part with smart locks and there's another very large conversation about centralization in the industry, right? Everybody's talking about it. Now, a very few people I heard that are actually acknowledging that you could do very little centralization and make it, to make sense in maintenance. But what you could do, you could make it more efficient, right? With systems like TJaye just mentioned, have smart thermostats that you could, control remotely. Locks, smart locks. Imagine that, if you have your technician being able to access that lock on their phone, like literally, they don't have to go back and forth to and from the office. Imagine an environment where your vendors are not showing up at the office because you have a person. That's centralization. You have one person that's overseeing the systems for maybe 10 or 20 properties, and vendor J construction, it's at apartment 102, ready to do a job. They verify, they validate that that's a legit person. A moment that they validate, they send them a text message with a link. And J construction, the worker just clicks on a link that takes them to a door lock, and he opens the lock for them. And they go, they do the work, and that password vanishes in 3 hours. It's just a temporary password. Imagine how much time that puts back into your team's days. That's fascinating. That's actually a conversation in itself that I think is worth having, maybe on another episode, right? But technology, the way this technology could help, like this is the way. So I'm very excited to hear, TJaye, that your company is already doing that. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Camden recently rolled out smart locks on all the apartments, and you're right, it's a game changer. I mean, during fire inspections going in every apartment, it is just sped up the process, and you don't have that big ring of keys anymore.
Yes. Don't get them out of order, and make sure to write everything down properly. Yes.
I don't know how many times, you'd be moving the key and one key would fall off, and you're like, oh no, where does that go?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I just hope that that everyone in the industry, not just our service team members, really embraces technology, because I really feel like this is where we're headed, and it really is to make everyone's lives easier. With staff shortages and not being able to find, seasoned service team members, it puts a strain on not only the teams but our residents also. So we have to keep in mind that our residents are extremely important, and so we want to make sure we have time to service them and make sure that they're getting the service they need. So just embrace it. Know that nothing is perfect. We all have to fumble around with technology at times, but we'll make it through together.
That's great. It's great. It's great to hear some positive examples, the locks, ways to save time, because really the sort of idea for this industry is this episode, is how can we embrace this? How can it benefit service team members and make their lives easier? Because we know they work so hard already. So this is just another way that we can speak maintenance a little bit easier and make life easier. So thank you guys so much for a great conversation.
Thank you.
Well, before we finish up though, I'd like to ask you both a question. It's not related to technology, but if there was one piece of advice that you would give somebody that's interested in the rental housing industry, what would it be? Either one of you.
Honestly, I think just get in and don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Education is the way to go. Find a mentor, partner up, and just learn as much as you can.
That's great.
It's been a great industry to me. I've been in the industry for 20 years, started as a part-time groundskeeper. It paid off, huge dividends. I'm hearing a lot of folks in maintenance field saying that, there's not enough opportunities. I'm of the opinion that, your opportunities is what you make them. Get in, be hungry, be curious, learn, volunteer to do the dirtiest jobs, the jobs that nobody else wants to do. This is what's going to help you get up to the top the fastest. There's no shortcuts. There's just a lot of hard work. Keep your head down, learn some more. And before you know, like 15 years later, you're going to become that overnight success that, you were dreaming about when you first started, before you know it. So there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities for all of us in this field. And you don't have to stay on a maintenance side, for example. I know of presidents and COO or CEO of the companies that started just like me as a groundskeeper. You don't have to stay in a maintenance field. this is just an entry for you, right? It's like I said, at the end of the day, it's what you make it.
I like it. Thank you both for your insight and vision into what the future holds and what sort of advice you'd give to somebody looking to get into the industry. I think that we'll definitely see a change in the way our teams and companies serve the residents. And I hope you both will join us in the near future so we can have another chat, maybe possibly about how the implementation process went at our company. So
Absolutely. Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks y'all so
Glad to
much.
come back. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, if you or someone you know is interested in any of our previous conversations, you can find us on the go as a podcast, wherever you download your podcasts, as well as on Facebook and LinkedIn. And as always, thanks, Becca, for your time.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you all.
Fun.
Cool.